Hi, everyone, and welcome to AHA Library. I am just so excited. I always say that, but I'm always so excited. I have our next guest, KateWilde, and she is going to be talking about her new book that just came out. It's called Autism Abracadabra, 7 Magic Ingredients to Help Develop Your Child's Interactive Attention Span. Hi, Kate. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi. Hey, Kristen. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here and to talk about my new book.
I am so excited to have you here. I know we've had you in the past for other things. And so if those that are watching or maybe listening and you missed that interview, go back because Kate is just a wealth of knowledge. She is just a ball of energy, love, and inspiration. So you definitely don't want to miss her other interview as well. But before we get started, let's talk a little bit, about, well, first, I want to talk so they have a background. Why are you so passionate to help those with autism?
Oh, well, actually, I really think it's a vocation. It's a calling. It's something I wanted to do all of my life, right? Well, since I was 13, actually, there was a particular moment in my life where these were in the days, for those young people listening, where you actually had to drive to the video store and rent a video and take it back. And it was the size of a book. And I watched a movie called Sunrise, A Miracle of Love. And it was the story of Bez and Samara Kaufman, who had a 2-year-old son at the time. It was back in the 70s, who was diagnosed with severe autism. And it was the story of their life and how they really approached him very differently, full of love. And they saw his autism as a wonderful thing, as something to embrace. And they created a program for him. And he ultimately went on to be an Ivy League graduate. He actually is my best friend. I work with him now. And so he went on to have no traces of his previous diagnosis. And I watched that movie and I decided I want to work with autistic people, right? Mm-hmm. It was like I decided that. And to this day, I am as passionate about our kids and our adults than I was from the day that I started. And I haven't regretted it one tiny little bit. I mean, I just love our kids and our adults. They are very, very special to me. I think they're beautiful people. I think they're so smart, funny, and they actually, and I love your son too, Jackson. I love Jackson. And I've seen him recently
for 17 years now. I just did the math in my head. It's been 17 years ago is when I first stepped foot over at the Institute. And that's when I met him. Can you believe that? How did that happen?
I have no idea how that happened, right? No idea. But I really admire how they live their lives, how they actually, because a lot of people don't understand them and don't actually interact with them with their brilliance in mind. And they just deal with that with such grace, much more than we do. If somebody doesn't understand us or gets the wrong end of the stick, we get more bent out of shape. But our children, our adults live with that every day. I think they're magnificent, really.
Well, and I can definitely vouch to those that are watching or listening. I have never known Kate not to be 150% passionate and energetic and loving and genuine from the minute I've ever met her. And it's so amazing. And I wish the rest of the world was like this, but that's what our job is today, is to inspire others to know that this is possible, right? Like,
yes, that's right.
And there's hope. And so let's talk about hope, because you just wrote your latest book. And I love the name. Yes, Autism Abracadabra. So, let's talk about this.
Oh, well, yes, I'm so happy that you love the name, because they were mixed. It took a while for my publishers actually to accept the name. And some, when I was taking it out to my community, because I've worked with thousands of families over 30 years, and some of them didn't like it because they're like, working with autistic people is hard and you have to put a hard graft in. And I'm like, That's why I want to do this, because I really wanted a book that really shone through as joyous, as playful, because so often people get so serious around our special children, and everything about them is a lesson, and everything they have to do is so unfun. And a lot of people are always focused on growing every minute of every day, that they lose their fun. And then a lot of parents have so much judgment coming their way that they lose their fun too. And I'm like, where is it? Abracadabra. Like when you say abracadabra, it's very hard not to want to dance as well and have a little bit of fun. So I'm glad you love the name. I love the name too, you know. And
I love that.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about it. Let's talk about what are the magic ingredients in that book.
Okay. Well, there are 7 magic ingredients. All right. And the first one, maybe we'll just do 3 because I know we only have a little bit of time. But the first one, I will find it right here because I'm too old to remember everything. Yes, is the magic ingredient number 1 is you become an integral part of the game or activity itself. And I think you were very good at doing this, you know, which is because in the title, it's to develop interactive attention span, which, so that means it's not about your child doing an activity all by themselves, like coloring or a puzzle or writing their name, where they're doing the activity by themselves. It's interactive. So it requires you. So you can have a starring role in the game, or you can have like a walk-in role, you know, like onto a little sitcom. You know, people have they get in and they get out in like 2 minutes or something, or 1 minute.
Yeah, those are called day players. So that's what a day player is called. And so a day player means they come for the day on set, and then that's it. They're not part of the original cast. So that's what that.
Right.
That's our treat for today.
Yeah, and if you got that role, you would be so happy because it would be like a breakthrough into the industry. You'd be like, oh, I just got on a sitcom, and you'd think it was wonderful, right? So sometimes we only get the day role. We don't get the starring role in the game. But every single game in here, there's like 200 or more games in here. And I designed them with that in mind, is that we want to be at the center of it, so that it's easier to be working on the skills that we want. We don't have to like make it happen necessarily, because if I'm in the center of the game, then so I'm the person swinging my child, if my child likes to be swung, or if my child likes washing machines, right? I can make myself into the washing machine, like in a big giant box, right? And put clothes inside me and have them wash around. So now there's more reason for my child to look at me, or my adult to speak to me or be with me, because I'm some part. In that case, if you're a washing machine, you're the starring role. But I might be just the audience. So I wanted to write a book actually where the games were created in such a way where interaction was at the center of every game, in my mind, every single game.
I love that. And I think that when people are watching or listening, you know, if you've never done this before, and maybe this sounds, you know, totally new, how I think of it is like improv. And most people know what improv is, right? Or if you've ever watched that TV show, I don't even know if it's on anymore, but Whose Line Is It Anyway? And they would give them a situation, and they would say, okay, you're at Aunt Agnes's and you're a pickle, but you can't tell anybody you're a pickle. And like this, like however it would always be something totally like crazy. But it was so interactive. It was so fun. And you don't really need props. You don't need money. You just need imagination and the willingness to be silly and try new things. And it's kind of like this. If your neighbors are looking at you thinking you're weird, you're doing it right. And that's how I work with my son. I'm like, if someone thinks I'm crazy, okay, I'm totally doing this right. And that's a lot of improv. And there's no wrong or right. And that's like the coolest part about everything that you are teaching in your book. There's no wrong or right. You're giving kind of like the platform and the foundation. But what's so neat is that your games that are in there, people can really take that and kind of mold it and make it to what they need. And they can even change it throughout the time. Like that one washing machine game can be 100 different ways to do that, right? So it's amazing. I love it. So I get very excited.
Yeah.
So you talked about the attention span. I wanted to just make sure to, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to make sure we talked a little bit about that. What is the difference between attention span and interactive attention span?
Yes, right? So attention span is if I attend to something, like if I'm sitting here and I'm reading a book, it just happens to be Autism Abracadabra, right? And I'm reading a book. For those of you just listening, I'm actually acting out reading a book right now, right? Then it's just me focusing my attention on an object, right? So it's just me alone. And our children are really good at this, right? With their stims, and they can really focus on something on an object for a long period of time. They're actually probably better most of the time than their peers are, especially nowadays. But an interactive attention span is how long can you attend and interact with another person, another human being, just like me and you are focusing on one another. Okay. And there's often an exchange in an interaction, an exchange of looks, an exchange of facial expressions, an exchange of words or gestures, a response, like I say something and then you say something, like a turn taking, but it's something that we're doing together. So although our amazing beings on the spectrum have a great attention span, right? They often have a very, very minimal or small interactive attention span. And that's what we call in the Sunrise program, we actually call that the weak muscle. Okay. And often people aren't focusing on that. They're just focusing on the attention span. They're focusing on the skills, because actually interactive attention span isn't something that's taught a lot, because a lot of people, it's kind of in it. What's the word? Natural in us.
Yeah,
if we're
in your
typically
DNA, kind of, as you're developing, it's one of those things where it just happens naturally often. For those that don't have a weak muscle. And I like how you said that. That's a great way to visualize it. And make sense of it. I love that. I actually have never heard that particular description of the difference between interactive attention span and attention span. I love that definition. It's beautiful. And I think everyone listening or watching, it's like, that totally makes sense. So let's talk about how are the games in your book designed specifically, and you talked a little bit about this already, but for our children and adults on the spectrum.
Yes, well, there are actually quite a lot of game books out there, 101 things to do on a rainy day and all of this. But I haven't seen, and I really looked for it. I haven't seen a book that actually caters for our kids and our kids' interests. So our kids' interests are different. Some of them are the same, but a lot of them are different. So I have categories that, because I've worked with probably 2,000 different children. And so there's certain things that I know are motivating for our population, right? So I'm looking at my book here just so to name some. So lots of our children really love letters, and they love numbers and household appliances. Like so many children love to talk about like blenders and,
My son loves looking and doing laundry. Like he loves everything to do with the washing machine. And now we have a newer one that it's clear on the top. So like you can see the studs and it's like, I actually have to put a towel over it now sometimes because he's so like, the soap is washing. Ooh, bubbles. Like he literally knows like all this is a new thing for me right now. And it's hilarious because they're like, and he wants to do laundry all the time. So that's now his chore is he gets to do the laundry.
Oh, I love it. See,
Awesome, I love it.
see, but that's a great explanation. Or, spoons or forks and
Yeah.
vehicles, books, maps, road signs, subways, animals and insects, cell phones. I have games for cell phones without the real cell phone. Movies, cartoons, TVs, weather patterns, sensory things that dangle and spin and drop. So these, you can't find a book that has a game for those motivations for our kids. So I wanted to write ones that were targeted for them, and also that could be malleable and allow for things to change and shift and change. So like some, I know some people find it very like, but he won't play it like that. And I'm like, that's right. He's not going to play it like that. He's not going to play it how you expect it. So I talk about embracing the unplanned a lot in the game,
Well, and the cool thing about games though, and we talk about this all the time here, is like, I'm thinking of this one Boggle game that we have that we do not play it the way the rules are written. We literally made up our own rules based on his motivation. And yet that's how we all play it now. I just throw away, when you get the games, the board games or whatever it is, and it has the rules in there, I just throw that away because I already know we're going to play, it how we want to play it. But I will say for those that, and I always think our way's better anyways. I'm like, why did they write it like that? Our way is way cooler. But I will say this to families watching or listening. This last December, it was the very first time that my son really got excited to play a game with the whole family. And it was so great during winter break. And we love the game Sorry. And he is legit playing it exactly like the rules and doing everything. And it's a really fun game. And it has numbers and all the stuff that he loves. And he got so excited. And then he understood winning and losing, which he's like never even had any interest that I ever seen in this. And so I will say, when you start creating the games in the way, especially in your book, it will lead to doing things maybe in a more general, way. And you have to be very patient, but you can have fun and delight, and it doesn't matter. And somebody made up those rules. Like somebody sat there and wrote those down. So it's not like you have to do it that way. And a lot of families I talk to, they can't, sometimes they're more stuck on whatever the rules are than the kids or those on the spectrum, right? Like, I feel like often it's the parents that get stuck.
Yeah, and I can understand why, because they think it's the completion of the game in the order that it's done, that's going to help your child, right? Or adult. Versus I kind of believe and see, and so do you, that it's the way you play the game together interactively. That's going to make a difference for your child. It's more about, are we looking together? Are we taking turns together? Are we enjoying ourselves? Are we having a moment of exchange, a moment of interaction? And that's worth doing it by the rules. Yes.
Well, and I think having that patience and just enjoying it, the journey. And I know I've reminded myself many times of this, right? But my son was he's now 20, which still blows my mind, but 19 and a half when we got to play our first quote unquote traditional board game as a family. And I had just as much fun, I will say, on all the things we still do, but like making up stuff. But it was, and I get it for the families though, but it was at this moment that I was like, wow, like we got this, like, this is so cool. Like we got a gift given to us of that. He wanted to sit down and play it the way we showed him. Right. Yeah. But I think all the building blocks of all the things that are in your book and your other book, and basically taking those building blocks and not giving up and saying, gosh, we've done this for 5 years or 2 years or 2 months. And it's not doing what I wanted it to do. Because when you make it up, it's never, ever wrong. Like there's always doing it, which like you can't fail. Yes. And so that's what I love. You legit can't fail. And so I think that having that mindset, I think will be really helpful to those listening, watching.
I love that. I love that you said that. Absolutely. I'm like so happy to hear that about Jackson too. And I think one of the strong points of you, which there are many, I mean, seriously, many, 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 is that you savor every moment. So if the game lasts for 10 seconds, whoa, it lasted for 10 seconds, right? Or 20 seconds. And I think that's one of the keys, which is every second of interaction matters, right? It wasn't often, I did write, you talk about mindsets, and I wrote in the book 5 presto changer.
I was going to ask you. We're on the same mind wave, I guess. I was literally just going to ask you about the presto changes beliefs, because you said there are 5. What do you think is the most important one?
Oh yeah. Oh, it's so hard to choose because I love them all.
No pressure, no pressure.
But presto chango, I did because I just want to say I love the title of it. Obviously, it fits in with the theme of the book, right? All about magic. But presto chango, it's so hard to say presto chango without smiling. And when we're looking to change ourselves inside, the way we think, this is us, not our kids or our adults, but ourselves. We can often be really serious. Oh my God, I got to change. I got to do this. Is hard, but presto change is like, ooh, I kind of want to do that. So that's why I wrote it that way. But I think the most important thing is my attempt is a success. Just that you go through the book, you look at the different chapters. I mean, I would read all the games, right? Because there's a part where I show you how you can change it to suit each game to suit your child's motivation, right? Mm-hmm. And so you've got lots of games to choose from here, but you choose a game, the games take within most of them are like 3 to 5 minutes to do and to make, and they often include household things. And you pick one and you offer it. And I actually explain when to do it, when to offer games. And a lot of the time, because that's happened to me, a lot of the time, the wonderful being that I'm with might look at me for a second and then go off, or they might say no, right? But I don't think, oh my God, that's terrible. I think, yeah, he saw I had something great for him. She's going to come back next time. And I really think that if you, whoever is listening out there, whether you're a professional, whether you're a mom, whether you're a dad, whether you're a sister, is that you can just say, that is my success, that I attempted it. Because I think that our children and our adults see what we're offering. And even if they can't at the time, because they're dealing with what they're dealing, engage in the way you wanted or imagined, you did something amazing for them, because you're showing them, I believe in you. I've got something fun over here. I love you. Yeah, because then you'll keep offering things. And that's all it's about, is offer it again at another time,
Yeah, I love that. I always think of it as like, okay, here's our menu today, and here's our specials. And honestly, the menu and the specials could be changing. Well, now we're at lunch. Here's our lunch ones. Here's our dinner, because it's like you don't always have the same menu, right? Yeah. And you don't have to only offer eggs and bacon or whatever. Like it can literally be, this is the game or that's the game. And oh, that didn't work. So guess what? We're going to try a new appetizer now. And it's like having all these different choices. I feel it's just something you just have to kind of let go in your own brain. As a parent, I can at least speak on this with Jackson. I have not worked with 2,000 children, and I'm so honored to know somebody that has, because that's just amazing that you've done what you've done in the world, and makes my heart so happy and dance.
Thank you.
Because that's we need people like that to care about our kiddos, right? And we need a team, and we need a village, and we need all the other stuff that people say. Yeah. But I think the only thing holding anybody back would be themselves. It's not the kiddo of any age that's sitting there. It's the parent going, oh, is that right? Or did I do that wrong? And you're overthinking. Mm-hmm. Just think about when you were a kid and how you didn't care about anything, and you just had fun, and you never overthought it. And I think that's where taking that fear out. Like I think about that. Like right now, I know it sounds silly, but my goal, and I have a month goal to do it, is I want to get across the monkey bars. And I just started this.
What? You want
monkey bars. Yeah, the monkey bars. Because I realize as I'm getting older, my arms are not doing what I want them to do.
Me
And so then
too.
I started working out and it was so incredibly boring to me. And
Yeah.
so one day I'm on my walk and I see this adult area for the monkey bars and it's a free area to work out. And I thought, well, I bet you that's probably a really good workout. And at
Yeah.
first I was so scared of like, oh man, like people are going to be watching me and everything. And I thought, screw that. I'm getting up there and I'm doing it. So right now I literally, and I'm laughing at myself because I cannot believe I'm saying this like to everybody that's going to be listening.
Yeah.
But like I literally hold on and I first only could hold on. Like that's all I could do. And I would practice and I would do so many sets of just holding until I could no longer hold.
Wow.
Then the next one I've gotten one rung and now I'm up to 2 rungs. And
Ooh.
I'm so proud of myself.
Yeah.
But here's the thing though. You have to let go of that fear of what people are thinking. You're doing it wrong. And as a kid, we never were fearful of jumping on those monkey bars. We, for the most, I mean, maybe some of you were, but for the most of us, we didn't think about it. We would get up on those monkey bars and just play. And I think as we get older, suddenly we have this fear of what people think. Am I going to do it wrong? You know, all these other things are happening in your mind. And I just think sometimes, especially with your kiddos, you just have to think about, I just want to get up on the monkey bars and have fun and laugh. And if I fall, that's totally okay.
Yeah.
And just keep on trying because you might do the washing machine thing and their kid has no desire. But maybe one day he has so much fun or she has so much fun playing it and then you do it again and they don't do it again for you. You're like, but I swear that worked yesterday. But that's the cool part is you get to change it up and let go of that kind of fear that you're holding on, thinking you're doing it wrong or you're wasting your time. And I've heard that a lot too. I'm just wasting my time. Like I'm wasting their time. No, building that relationship and that interactive retention span that Kate's talking about, to me, is one of the most important things. I would say that's the top 3 important things, anything I do with my kiddo. So I don't know why I showed you the monkey bar story, but I had to tell you because it just made sense.
I love it. I love the monkey bar story. And it's really, it's also really great because it shows how, you know, it's a big step for your child to be able to interact for a minute and then 2 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's double it. So it's a big step to just hold it and then take one thing. So
Absolutely.
to be patient in that thing. But in the book, there's actually a guy I talk about. I think that's the third ingredient is the magic of fun, right?
Love it.
Yeah, and I really talk about the idea so it's not so stressful, parents, because some parents are going to be listening and say, hey, dude, oh yeah, I got the fun. You let me be fun. I want to be fun, right? And other people are like, oh my God, I don't know how to have fun. So I talk about the idea of our children know how to have fun. Just look at what they're doing, like the washing machine or whatever they're into. That's their fun. And the games are all about what's fun for them, right? Picking something that's fun for them. So we got that covered. Now you just have to find your own fun again. So instead of like being fun, you want to have some fun, which is different. Being creates more stress. How can I be fun?
Yeah.
But having fun. Okay, what makes me fun? What did I used to have fun with? You know, before I had 5 children and a mortgage and a job, you know, and to start having a relationship with what brings you fun and then work that muscle.
Well, and here's the last thing I'll say about that is that, you know, because I've heard families say, that's just not me. That's just not me. And maybe it's not. And I'm not here to try to change your mind on that. But if you feel like, gosh, this would make sense for my, you know, kiddo of any age, and you don't feel like you're the best person for that, one, I would say just be open-minded and maybe have a little bit of fun, whatever that fun is for you, but maybe then give it to the therapists that are working with him and giving them this book to say, here's some awesome ideas, because I can tell you this, we've had many people in our house and we still do. And it's amazing because I'm constantly reminding them of different games and different this and different that. And it's all about improv in my mind. But some people just don't have that creative gene. And I've seen that where they really do try. They really want to do it. But for whatever reason, it's just super difficult for them. And so I would say then give it to the person that's with your kiddo a good majority of the time. It's a great kind of like I call
Yeah.
it like a cheat sheet. So your book is really like a cheat book, right? It's like
Yes,
awesome.
it's like a loads of games. Like you don't have to come up with them. They're right here.
And that's most of the time people just don't have the time. But the other thing is if your kiddo is in school, which I've heard this too, and I have a lot of friends that are teachers that would love this book because they literally, they want to help our kiddos. The aides want to help our kiddos. The lunch lady wants to help our kiddos, right? I'm not kidding you. They would love this book. So this would be a great, you know how often you're giving your teacher something as an appreciation. Dude, give her the book. She will love this more than a coffee mug. She's gotten 27 coffee mugs already this year. She would love this book, and then maybe a card to a coffee place, but she would love this book. And I think that way you're helping set them up for success and not failure, because they are trying, but often they just don't. It's easier when it's like, oh, I could totally do this. Oh, I could totally do that.
Yes.
Great ideas. So again, it doesn't always have to be you. If you feel like, okay, I don't think I can do this, then give it to the people that are with your kids. And I think that'd be fantastic.
Thank you for that. That was awesome.
You know me, Kate. If it comes into my head, it's coming out. It's like I can't help it. I have no filter. Okay, so if someone wants to work with you, or first of all, how do they find you, and how do they get a hold of you, and how do they find your book?
Well, you find my book on Amazon.com in the USA, also Amazon.ca, which is Canada, and also Amazon.co.uk. It's also in Barnes and Noble, and it's a Kindle form, and it's in Waterstones and all the major bookstores. Actually, you can order it pretty much everywhere, even Target. I think you can order it. So yeah. And then you can contact me. I work with families all around the world virtually. So if you would like to get in contact with me, you just go to my website, which is KateWilde.com. Pretty easy, KateWilde.com. And there's a place there where you can actually email me. It says contact. Feel free to email me and ask me a question. I do consultation packages where I work directly with families who are doing home-based programs, or maybe they have an adult who's out in the world as well. And I will love to connect with you. So if you want to, please go over to my website, and it'll be nothing but a pleasure. And read my book. I have 2 other books too, which you'll find if you Google this one, you'll find the other ones. And they're actually also really packed full of amazing information. And it's all designed for you to do it at home. So you can get lots of stuff without even consulting with me. And that's why I write the books, so they're accessible,
Love that. Well, what is your last message that you want to leave with them? Not your last message, but the last message for this interview. What message? What message do you want to leave? Because there are people probably watching and they're excited, or maybe they're a little nervous, or they just still might be a little bit confused, right? So what message do you want to leave?
I like well, if you're a little confused, go get the book anyway, right? Because it'll clarify everything. But I think that if you're feeling uncomfortable right now about, maybe you've just got a diagnosis for your child, or your adult's just doing something that they've never done before and you have no idea how to handle it, that's okay. There are plenty of moms and dads who didn't know how to handle it, right? And they got through it. Think of all the times that you've actually been shown up and been there for your child, and that you don't have to be perfectly happy or perfectly know everything to take a deep breath and just connect with yourself and connect with the love that you have for your child, because I know that you love them. Right? Because you wouldn't be listening to this. And if you could just take a deep breath and connect to that and just try something, right? Just reach out and try something. And I think the more you do that, because I do believe that you're the best resource possible for your child. There's nobody who loves your child more than you, who will know your child more than you, who cares for your child more for you, and just connect with that, right? You don't have to have a degree. You don't have to have read a book.
I love that. I love that. Just try and just try something. And, I wanted to also say, it doesn't matter where your kiddo is on the spectrum to look at Kate's stuff. It doesn't matter how old they are. They could be 2,
That's
52,
right.
92.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's so much information in not just this book, but her other books as well, that regardless of where the individual in your life with autism is on the spectrum, there is help in these books. There's hope in these books. And this is really a true resource that will really change the course of where you're at. So I am so grateful for having you here today, Kate. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you. You are such a beautiful person. Thank you.
Well, I think just the same about you. So, and for all of those listening, again, just remember what Kate's words were, try something, and there's definitely hope out there. Until next time. Bye, guys.